Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. This is for the Stamp With Me hop, so I will be stamping on this layout. And I'm also using a sketch. This is Redefine Creative's Sketch of the Week while I am scrapping this. I don't know if it still will be by the time the video goes live, but I loved this double page sketch. Kind of looked familiar. Don't know if I've used it before, but either way, I loved it. So I'm going to go ahead and use it again. If I did use it, it would have been in Bennett's album. Not that it ever bothers me repeating the same sketches within an album, but I do believe it was for Bennett's birthday party if I did use it. So this is my album, so I'm going to use it again because I love it. So I am using Die Cuts with a View Autumn Chill. I love this paper pad. This is probably one of the most recent paper pads I've bought from a big box store. I think I got it at, I want to say Joann's, but I love the tones on this paper pad. I love that you have these soft pastels, but you got these rich autumn colors, and I'm definitely feeling that right now because we are finally getting some cooler weather here in Georgia. I don't know where it is everywhere else, but it feels amazing outside. So I am ready for autumn. I'm ready for fall. I've already had my pumpkin spice latte, and I am here for it. So I'm just starting off by going through this paper pad, pulling out some pages I have doubles of, because I do need some 12 by 12s for both of these. There wasn't really a way I could cheat the system for these two backgrounds and make one page look like two like I have in the past. So I really needed 4 12 by 12s off the bat of two different patterns, and I settled for this really nice minty floral and this light pink plaid. I thought those were really soft and were going to be really nice background pieces for me to layer other patterns on top of. So I'm just following the sketch. I'm creating this big outline of the background. I'm going to use my corner rounder to round the outer corners of everything, and I'll get that glued down, and then that'll be the background I'm working with. I think it looks so pretty. I didn't really need to gut the background, but these are double-sided papers, and I actually really did like, there's a multicolored floral on the back of this pink plaid that I might use further down in the page as another paper layer. So I did actually end up doing that, so I'm glad I saved that piece. So you'll see that a little bit down the line, but I'm just going to get all of this glued down. I think this is such a beautiful starting point for this sketch. This paper pad just made it so easy for me. I really didn't have to think at all during this page. I love how this page turns out, and it was no effort on my part because I was just following a sketch. So that's what I love about sketches. You can kind of turn off your brain and go on autopilot. As long as you have a paper pad full of papers that coordinate, just, do that. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to start off by pulling in some scraps. There are quite a few scraps in this paper pad, so I knew I wanted to start green, and I didn't have a big enough scrap for that one, so I did pull out a 12 by 12 for that one. But pretty much the rest of the paper pieces are scraps that I already had sitting in this book. So I'm going through all my scraps now and pulling out anything I think could be one of the layers that are in this sketch. But I'm starting off by using this dark green as the thick banner that runs across both pages. So I'm going to have that. I really like the idea of using this dark green, this heavier color, as an anchor point for the entire double page. So I was really happy I still had a piece of that green in the paper pad. So I'm just cutting the banner detail out of those now. I will realize here in a minute that I did not trim these down to 12 by 12. I left the strip where the branding usually is. So I did need to trim off a little bit to make that actually 12 by 12. But then I'll go ahead and get these banners down, and I'll just start building from there. I am just copying the sketch verbatim, so I'm just going to work one piece at a time. I started out with the background. Now I'm starting to build up through these layers, and that's really all I'm doing. You guys, I don't even know if you've seen my pictures yet because I don't think I even touch the pictures until the layout is done. I do have 3 4x6s, which is why I really loved this sketch, because I had 2 landscape and 1 vertical that I needed to use, and it's always so difficult for me to use multiple 4x6s, especially when they're in different orientations. So that's why I really lean heavily on these sketches sometimes that incorporate both of them, because it was just the inspiration I needed to get this page down. This is another layout for St. Augustine, so all the pictures were taken at the Fountain of Youth Archaeological Park. So you guys would have seen a couple of the pictures from the Fountain of Youth. The landscape photo that will be on the far right is still inside the actual fountain area, You guys saw a couple pictures of me and Marcus drinking from the Fountain of Youth, but you really couldn't see a lot of the background of that scene. So I wanted to make sure I got some of the other things documented that were in that building. They kind of have a scene where Ponce de Leon is meeting the natives and they're showing them the Fountain of Youth. There's also this cross in the ground that is the authentic original cross that they placed as a marker. So I thought that was really cool and wanted to make sure I got all of that in a photo. So that's the photo that will be on the right. The photo in the middle, which is the vertical one, is me and Marcus in front of a church, and there's an actor, I guess you would say, dressed as a monk outside, who you could ask questions about, you know, what it was like living there and what his role was and everything. And then the photo on the left is another horizontal, and it is the large cross that is one of the iconic landmarks of St. Augustine, which marks as close as possible to where Ponce de Leon first landed. And I just think that's so cool. There's just so much history in this area, and that's also the mark of the first church in America. So I just thought all that was really cool. I love history, and I love being able to go visit those actual places and experience it. So that's what this page is about, long story short. And now I'm back to just trying to get all these pieces down. I'm just pulling in little scraps here and there. I had a lot of branding strips and skinny horizontal bits, which was kind of perfect because there's a lot of kind of skinny horizontal layers on this layout. So I'm just trying to get all of those down. There is a scallopy detail in the sketch. So I did use my scallopy border punch to punch that out of this kind of peachy tone. So I'm going to run that along underneath this long dark green banner. And then I already have the skinny banner. That's that multicolor floral running across the green as well. That multicolor floral, that's the skinny banner, is the branding strip you saw me trim off of the background. And that's also the B-side. So I will pull in a larger chunk that I had gutted from earlier in the layout, and that will be the big layer that's going to be behind my photos. So I think that worked out kind of perfectly. So I'm just trying to get all of that down. It takes me a minute. I kind of don't know what all to say because there wasn't a lot of thought process that went into this, and usually I'm kind of trying to tell you guys how I think through my decisions, and there just was no thinking on this page because I was just following directions. But I do need to go in. I know I still need to do a little journaling piece on the left of where the photos are going to be. I know there's that really cool leafy detail, like scatter of vertical leaves on the right side, with possibly a stitching detail on the sketch as well. So from the beginning, I already knew I was going to be using my Felicity Jane leaf stamp from the, which collection was that? Harper collection. So I already knew that's how I'm going to pull in stamping. I don't know. You guys know when I stamp, I like to do it on vellum and heat emboss. That's like my go-to stamping method. I just love how it looks. I think it looks so pretty. I was so close to actually ink stamping on pattern paper and fussy cutting the pattern paper for these leaf details. But in the end, I still did the vellum. I just think it looks so pretty, especially with like stitching detail. I could not do that. So I almost tried something new for you guys. But in the end, I had to do vellum on this layout. So you'll see that in a minute. When I get to the stamping, heat embossing, fussy cutting, stitching, I speed it up a lot because I know you guys see that almost every stamp with me because it's just my favorite way to stamp. But that will be sped up for you guys so you don't have to sit through that repetitive process. But here's that big chunk that I gutted from the background. That's the B side. That's the, or maybe it's the A side and the pink plaid's the B side. I don't know. But that's going to be that large chunk. That's going to be the background for most of these photos to sit on. And I just think that looks so pretty. I just love how these colors and these patterns go together. And even though there's a lot of pattern and a lot of different color, I feel like this paper pad does a really good job of making them go together without looking busy because there are a ton of different patterns on here and I just think they look so nice. So I'm just trying to continue to glue this stuff down how it is, trying to make sure it's lined up between the two pages. There's an additional horizontal strip that runs across the page on top of all of these layers, including where the journaling goes. So I'm just starting to map out and partially glue down where this top horizontal bit's going to go. but I'm not going to glue it down all the way because I know I needed to put my journaling behind that as well. And so I did pull out a Felicity Jane journaling card. I think that was from the oh my gosh, I can't remember which pocket card I pulled that out from, but it was one from my stash that I had left over. So I went ahead and decided I would use that as my journaling piece. So I did just go ahead and do my notebook edge punch at the top, the same that it was in the sketch, because the sketch also had that notebook punch edge on top of the journaling. So I'm really trying to do it as close as possible. But before I get to that, I forgot about this part. There is a little banner cluster in the upper left-hand corner, and I thought that was a great design point because you can bring in, like it opens up a door for you to bring all the colors from these lower banners up to the top of the page. So I'm just trying to look at these different colors and papers I have down at the bottom and pull them up there. So I made sure I cut one of those dark green banners. I'm going to cut one of these multicolor floral banners. I wasn't quite sure what the third one was going to be because I didn't really have scraps of the other papers that I needed. And I already had the peachy tone represented in the scallopy detail up there. So I went ahead and used the B side of one of these, which is just kind of a taupey plaid. But I think that's a nice background banner for these other two that bring those colors from the bottom of the page up. So you'll see that in a minute as I get that together. But I think that was the perfect little cluster to pull up to the top of the page. I really liked that detail in the original sketch. So I forgot about that. I had to get that together. But I'm just trying to glue it all down. I think that looks so nice. And then here is, oh, it was from the, what collection was that? Harper. I think that's the Harper collection that had the cheetah print. Has that journaling piece. So here I'm punching the notebook edge. In the sketch, it's a longer journaling piece. And of course, this card is only 3x4. So I do end up cutting it and stretching it a little bit behind where that peachy horizontal piece is. It didn't give me that much leeway, but it gave me a little more. So I'm just trying to mimic that from the sketch as well. But you can see where that horizontal bit had to go over that. That's why I didn't glue that down yet. But now I'm finally getting all the photos on. Those are the photos I was talking about earlier. And there's this little taupey bow that I had left over from the Gina collection that I thought went really well with that taupey color I pulled from the multicolored floral and that banner at the top. So I thought that was the perfect detail because there was a bow down there by the journaling in the sketch as well. So I wanted to make sure that was accurately represented as well. But now that I have my page, finally, basically all the bones are down. I'm going to go ahead and glue down all of these photos, and then finishing touches is doing my stamping and getting the whole leaf detail down. So I saved that for last because I knew that was going to be kind of the biggest thing. Here's my super sped up version of this process. I decided I would just speed it up a lot instead of just cutting chunks of it out so you could still see it if you wanted to. There's a way on YouTube that you can slow down the video if you do want to watch it slower. But all I did was stamp and heat emboss all these little leaves, fussy cut them all out. I pretty much have them on the page how they were in the sketch, and because it's vellum I couldn't really glue them down, but there is a stitching detail in this sketch that I wanted to mimic, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do a cross stitch in the middle of each of these leaves in order to stitch them down to the page so they're secure. And I'm also taking some leftover leaves and clustering them behind the bow on the left side because that was another part of the sketch. And I really like that that brings the leaf from the right side of the page down into the left side. And then again, just doing journaling really quick. It just says, I love the history of St. Augustine, so much beauty, and first of America were here, first foreign visitors, first church, and so much more. I love seeing and learning about what life was like. And here are the close-ups. So that's pretty much it. It was a lot of fun playing with that sketch. It was such a good one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.